Welcome to this latest video from DPP. With the Prime Minister unveiling his 10-point plan for the UK to achieve a net zero emissions target and the subsequent publishing of the government's energy white paper, the need to develop solutions, infrastructure and facilities to meet these targets are a priority for the UK. To discuss the role the planning sector is playing in helping the UK achieve its net zero ambitions, I'm joined by DPP Director Mark Lane and Principal Planner Oshan Roberts. Gentlemen, hello. Mark, turning to you first, DPP has some experience in supporting low carbon and green energy projects. Can you tell us about some of the areas you've worked in?
Yeah, sure. DPP for a number of years has been growing its energy and waste sector. We've been involved in a diverse range of projects, from waste transfer stations to energy from waste plants that convert. The one we did recently converted 65,000 tonnes of non-recyclable waste to green energy through the use of advanced thermal treatment. We've also done various proposals for electric vehicle charging hubs and alternative fuel filling stations throughout the country. And we have done a number of large-scale solar projects over the years, as well as we're currently amending the planning permission for one of the UK's largest energy from waste plants, which is capable of processing over 400,000 tonnes of residual waste annually. That amendment will allow the plant to process the waste in a different manner to which was originally permitted.
That's a decent track record, so obviously well positioned to support the energy and waste sectors. Oshan, so obviously net zero isn't just about producing green energy, but also cutting emissions from other areas of society, obviously such as housing. So how can you work with developers to support their green targets, areas that you might have already worked in housing, and what do you do to support them?
Yeah, so one of the key elements of the government's 10-point plan is reducing the impact of the existing housing stock and public buildings on climate change. And this has been done through the Green Homes Grant and things like that for the homeowners to make their own homes more energy efficient. But clearly the existing stock is an important element of this, but given the government's commitment to delivering over 300,000 new homes annually in England, the need to drive new technologies within our future housing stock, I think, is really important too. So we've been involved in a scheme in South Wales, which is considered to be one of the world's first developments, which is true net zero in carbon in operation. So this development of 35 dwellings will seek to be net zero for its life rather than just maybe in construction. That's being delivered through a mix of design to reduce energy demand, but also incorporating renewable energy technologies and monitoring that balance across the life of the building as well. So that's quite a really big change in how housing is using such technologies. I mean, this model is maybe a little way off from becoming mainstream, but we can bring our experiences with this project to other schemes and assist the development industry as a whole, not just maybe the housing market, to bring schemes forward that include renewable technologies and specific infrastructure, like some of those that Mark has highlighted through the planning process. I think it's probably also worth saying that another benefit of this is not just the zero carbon agenda, but also through tackling fuel poverty for people. Everyone has the right to live in a warm, comfortable home, and reducing the need to consume energy through the fabric of buildings will go a long way in tackling that issue.
Is there a desire from the developers and clients that you work with that their developments should be green and sort of be part of this drive towards net zero, or is it something that when you're talking to them that there's more an advisory piece as well to help them, guide them along that way based on your experience of other projects?
I think there's a little bit of apprehension in terms, some of it relates to cost and viability of being able to deliver some of these schemes. But I think that with certain grants that are in place, that can be overcome. But yeah, I think some of the housing associations particularly are really driving that forward. Going back to my point about fuel poverty and their customers, that is something that they are really trying to drive forward as a market.
So, Mark, going on to the planning side of stuff, specifically assuming that local authorities and their planning committees are also buying into this net zero agenda, are there any areas of the planning process that developers should be aware of when they're looking at considering their plans?
Well, our experience is that most authorities have declared or are in the process of declaring climate emergencies, and therefore most councils are supportive of projects which assist in reducing the UK's carbon footprints and the aim of achieving carbon zero by 2050. Clearly, this is not a green light to every project, particularly those that are located in sensitive locations and areas that are subject to special protection, such as AONBs and national parks. But most planning authorities understand the need for the UK to meet its zero carbon agenda, and generally speaking, are positive towards green technologies and such proposals. We've had very good feedback, really, from councils.
Oshan, just turning to you finally, Mark touched on this before, but obviously a key area of the journey towards net zero, excuse the pun, is the adoption of electric vehicles, which of course is part of that is providing a comprehensive charging network. So what do you see is needed to help overcome the sort of the range anxiety that has been classed of drivers, particularly those in commercial and fleet users, and how DPP can help? Obviously, Mark mentioned the type of projects there, if you can expand on that a bit.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. One of the key elements of the government's 10-point plan and the white paper is to provide more electric vehicle charging points. With around 35% of the country's carbon emissions coming from vehicles, that they see that as a really big issue for them, and that's partly why they've brought forward the end of the sale of petrol and diesel cars. But the infrastructure just really isn't there at the moment to the extent it needs to be. And that is an issue not just for private vehicle owners and families, but as you say, massively for the commercial industry, the businesses, and for fleet drivers who rely on being out on the road all day, every day, and they don't have the opportunity or have the time to sit at a charging point for 8 hours waiting for their vehicles to be charged. So ultra fast and appropriately located charging hubs are really key to be able to assist those industries in being able to deliver their goods and deliver on their needs to customers across the country. And such facilities like ultra fast charging will provide these businesses with 20-minute charge times, and that really is key to overcoming the range anxieties. And there are some easy wins in terms of provision within service stations and petrol station forecourts, and more maybe locally you could convert lampposts and things into charging facilities. But the main thing, I think, is looking at dedicated facilities that are charging hubs, incorporating a range of facilities from maybe just a toilet and a vending machine to much larger ones, which include a coffee shop, a convenience shop, maybe a meeting room as well. And those being located in convenient locations across the country are really important. As Mark said, we currently and have delivered several charging facilities across the country, including in sensitive locations like green belts and AONBs. And I think our experience with those schemes and with other renewable energy infrastructure as well puts us in a really good position to advise clients and landowners on appropriate sites and some of the technical hurdles to securing planning permission. But I think there's also an opportunity which hasn't really been looked at too much at the moment, is promoting land through local plans at an earlier stage. So some landowners might be anxious about the commercial viability of such schemes at the moment, because people, the number of electric vehicles out there aren't particularly high at the moment. But as that increases, then they become more viable. And having sites allocated already means that they've got that security of being able to deliver those, and it's just a matter of then submitting planning applications to resolve any technical concerns that the authority might have.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.